think it's episode 15. Do we
Episode
decide?
15.
15.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right.
At some point, we'll figure this out.
Okay, go.
We need like
airport.
I need like a timer and like a number. That's what I need.
I told you we need a timer on the wall.
This should be easy.
That
though,
would
'cause
make
it's-
so much sense.
It's
Well, I just started mine.
Luckily, it's almost 5 o'clock exactly, so
Okay.
that makes it easy.
Kind of helps.
We'll
Yeah.
figure it out.
See ya.
The math
It'll
is
be like
reasonable.
7:30. We'll still be here. Rick's like, "What happened to you guys?" Well, I don't know, Rick.
Our math wasn't good.
Yeah, we sucked at it today.
Get to the countdown. That's
Couldn't
funny.
get the math right.
You gonna
I
start?
feel like it's been a while. How do I do the intro?
Just figure it out.
Welcome to the Slightly Serious Sign Podcast, episode 15. I'm glad to be back. I got left out on episode 14, so I'm just glad I get to be here again. I thought for sure I was done. I thought that was the end of it.
Yeah, he didn't get fired.
Yeah.
But anyways, who voted us number one?
Voted number 1 by Arlon, apparently. So with us, well, you can see it because if it's on me, he's in the same shot as me. So with us is Ritchie Daize. I want to say Dave's for some reason.
Yeah, no, just days. That works.
I don't know why.
It's the Canadian version of Dave.
There you go. Yeah, that's the
It's
American
Days.
version is
Yeah.
Dave's
Yeah.
maybe. Yeah.
It should have extra A's because it's Canadian. It
A?
should just be
What?
A.
Hey, hold on a second.
A's.
The whole class, not an A today.
That's pretty impressive.
Yeah, I got to around 3:30, and they're like, "You're not from Canada.
Yeah,
you
they
haven't
didn't
dropped
believe
an A
you?
yet." And they didn't
They-
believe me. I'm like, "Okay, hold on."
You didn't even bring in Tim Hortons or anything either.
Is there one in town? I don't
in
think
town,
so.
There is one. It's not that far from here. I can send you the address. You can go there if you want to.
I got to Google that. All right.
But yeah, he's joining us today. We've been doing the Wentzko rap classes all of this week. We've been doing them kind of for the last few months here. Richie's teaching the 2 that we have in Grand Rapids this week. So he's been here all week. So we're like, what better way to have him here? Might as well get him on the podcast.
Okay.
So we appreciate you coming out to do the
course.
classes and definitely to do the podcast. So I just wanted to start with like kind of what is your background in the industry and
Yeah.
how long you've been doing this?
Oh man, so I'm admitting some things when I tell you how long I've been doing this. So about 32 years actually since I picked up a squeegee, and it was just one of these summer jobs. Sign shop, the guy says, "Hey, here's what I do. I weed." You think of weeding, you don't think of anything to do with plastic. I weed stuff, and we put this transfer. You won't understand it until you come into the shop and give it a try. And summer went by, and these guys, they were still painting signs. So this is that far back, and the shop manager was the sign painter. And so we had this little thing going. So I'm like, no, that plotter over there that was barely a plotter at that time, that's the future. Let's get going with that. So every job that we would do, I would be always fighting to try to get vinyl on the docket so that I got to get out to do it. And, right from that moment, I don't know why, but vinyl just made sense to me. And I really enjoyed it. And, since then, 32 years, I had my own business for a little while, about 15 years. And then Arlon, I was doing a lot of training for Arlon. I loved training. And actually, quick story, the reason I really love training so much, I think, is, right at the very beginning, there was one brand that did a lot of, competitions and things like, even way back then at the trade shows. And I remember going up to this person that had all the answers to the universe, right? They knew how to install vinyl. And there was a rivet competition. And I was like, "Hey, can you just show me? I'm not going to be able to compete. I'm just like, first summer working." And they were like, "Nah, if you don't know, you don't know." And from that moment, I was like, wait, come on. And there was really nowhere for me to go to learn how to do this. So I'm literally, wrapping beams like you guys have in your warehouse here and just trying to self-teach myself. So I meant more to the sign shop that I was working for. And ever since then, I just had this little thing in the back of my head that, someday I want to be a trainer and I want to make that free, with Wrap It Right, it's somewhere that you can go just to learn freely. And Arlon really picked up on that. I worked with them as a trainer for a little while, and they were like, "Hey, you know what? Why don't you ditch that fleet wrapping gig and come work for us?" And so, that's kind of how it all happened. And that was 17 years ago. So I've been with Arlon for 17 years.
A little while then. Yeah.
Hey, it's been a while, but it's been a blast. I've had a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Not going anywhere.
I see as like, if I was describing you're like the original trainer when it comes right down to it. When you talk about our industry and who you are in our industry, you're the original guy because like you're the original person that I know of that a manufacturer came out and got. So they came and got you. So then, and not only a trainer, but you're also a salesperson, even though you want to be more of a trainer. You're a trainer with the sales rep talk. But another good quality is it's extreme loyalty because when you're really good at your job, you're really good at your job.
Oh, thank you.
Like it's hard to stay where you're at because they don't always see as valuable as the person that like you're stealing the work from.
Right.
So sometimes it's really hard to stay loyal to the person that really got you because there's other things pulling you away and you're not always seen as valuable inside the organization as you are outside. And I know that probably people have approached you, people have done things like that over the years to like, oh, you could be doing this, you could be doing that. So I see a lot of loyalty. And like I said, you're a great trainer. I mean, you did rap classes here forever ago. I remember like when I was running around, and then I remember we did that Arlon certification class, which now you look back at that class and it's like who's who in the rap industry was at that class that you were teaching that many years ago. And a lot of those guys now train for, you know, other organizations that's
true.
We had way back then. So that's how I see in the industry is like, and there's when I look at like true icons of the industry, I think of you. And then I think of like the other person is like, and some people know him, Albert, that does a lot of stuff with Hexus because like he was the original one that I saw at the thing. And then to see Jim Miller too, because he was the original one I saw when I was at like Ritchie. But when I go to those three, I mean, there's other ones that are newer. There's obviously like Justin Pate, who's newer, and there's John Duver that's newer, and you even go like we used Chad Parrish a long time. He's a great rapper, great trainer, but the originals are probably you, Albert, and Jim because that's the original trainers when way back 2000. Mid 2000s or when you were coming around, so, 2008, 2009, 2010. That's when we first when I think it was 2011 was the first time I went to a show where we were rapping something. And it was only you, Albert, Jim were the people that were like at the show rapping something. It wasn't anybody else.
Yeah.
So,
well, and you know, the person that gave me my start in the training side of it, because I didn't know how to break into it. It was Rob Ivers. You've probably heard of Rob Ivers. You know who he is, and with the PDAA. And he happened to be off somewhere doing some training, and I went to one of his training classes. And, you know, I was a keener. I was jumping in and trying to help out. So at the end of it, he just said to me, he said, hey, you know, if you really have a passion for this, we're always looking for trainers. So I kind of left him with my number, and a couple of months later, it was MacTac, actually, who were the first vinyl brand that I worked with. And I worked with them a little bit until I got to know Arlon. So, And there's some loyalty there. There's no doubt. Without a doubt.
Yeah. I mean, I get it. Like obviously I'm from here. Like people saw, you know, Wensko changing. Like they're immediately like, oh, who's this guy? And, you know, and obviously you were more valuable outside the organization than you were inside in people's eyes. But like, you gotta have loyalty. And it's, like I said, I know it's hard. It's hard to stick with the same. So,
when you say it like as an icons, like those are also the people that are still around, right? Like there was a lot of people that were there at the beginning, right, in 2008, but they're not still in this business. Like I think that training itself is a difficult business to maintain. Like you just deal with a lot of difficult people, and it's not always the most rewarding thing in the world, but it's nice to see people that have stuck around for a long time. And that's why like you and Jim's the only one I know. I don't know the Hexus guy as well, but people who I've seen like as long as I've been here still doing the same thing. So it's cool. It's cool to see it.
But talk about rewarding. I mean, you get to classes like we've had here of folks that are coming out. They really want to learn about rapping vans, but they don't have a ton of experience. I think our class this week goes from 2 weeks, you know, out to probably 4 or 5 years. And that's amazing because you really get the questions that bring you back as a trainer. And the best part of it has to be you're training this class and someone goes, but did you ever think of that? And you say, hey, I want to tell you something. All the classes forward, I'm going to mention that. Thank you. You learn something new. You're always learning new things. And then that person also goes away saying, wow, you know what? Yeah, I can do this. So it's very rewarding. That's the best part of the training experience for sure.
So I think that just leads us into like, I think when we think of Arlon, a lot of I think about is like you were saying, like Rap It Right, like something that's been around a while. So why, from your perspective at least, why do you think Arlon has put so much emphasis on like training and education?
Yeah, you know, in general, people are out there trying to use your product, and you want them to be able to use it well, use it proficiently. And it's a way to connect with your customers. So there's no better way. Like this group of people, I'm sure probably they have there's a higher chance that they're going to get involved with some Arlon film after this. So it gives them a chance to get to know the company. We are all about people. And also it gives us a chance to get to know them. And also, you know, for us to get on the ground level to see how are people using films? How are we going to make a better film? Like, for example, you know, we looked at Air Egress many years ago and how, if we weren't out there training and seeing how air egress worked or how difficult film would be that we had that didn't have air egress, we wouldn't have known how to make flight technology. So, the training piece of it, yes, it's for sure. It's also an altruistic thing. We want to be there to help people, but also it keeps us grounded. It keeps us close to the street, and it helps you understand what everyone's up against and to help us make better products. So there's quite a few sides to, the benefits that we get from training.
Yeah, I think you can only get so far, like even on our ends with like customer survey type thing, like, oh, what are your 5 biggest pain points, right? Like if you ask somebody that, it's different than someone coming here, right, and saying like, oh, last week we were using X film and we were having X problem with it, and we've been having that problem for 6 months, and you go, oh, that's new. Let's actually talk about that. So I think if you're not doing this class, you're never gonna get that feedback unless you just happen to walk across somebody actively having that problem. But that's got to be a big benefit as well.
It is. And then it's a problem, right?
Yeah.
You don't always want to be walking into problems. It's just watching people work with the film and seeing, I'm kind of surprised, but 5 out of 6 people that work with this, I see they're struggling a little bit with that over there. I know the film really well, so I can get around it, but maybe that's something we need to look at. And that's been the guiding star of SLX Plus, was completely born because of working with people that said, I will not buy Arlon film until it's as easy to use X film. Like, okay, so let's learn why Arlon film isn't as easy to work as other people's film. And it came down to training.
Yeah. So that's a great segue into, we've seen a lot of people lately going in, I think the joke online is like YouTube certified, right? Like there's a lot of education out there currently through YouTube.
Heat and push, what's it called? Heating?
Yeah, YouTube certified. It's the, you're certified at the heat and mash method.
Heat and mash, that's
Wrinkles
it.
are fine.
Wrinkles are fine,
Yeah.
heat and mash.
Yep. So if you've seen any videos lately, you know what I'm talking about. Just heat it in there, right?
Yeah.
So I think from our side, like, why is it important for someone to come and take like one of these classes or one of the ones that you guys are taking, or really any of them in general, versus getting it through like a YouTube certified?
Well, it's interesting because we had a conversation actually inside of the van. A couple of the students today, and they were kind of putting down the whole YouTube thing and saying, you see this and you see that, and no one knows what they're doing. So I don't like to ever quench anyone's voice. So, if you're inspired and you've got a way of doing something that you think is great and you want to share it with the world, I'll tell you what, I've done a lot of wiring jobs and I learned it off YouTube without a doubt. But I wasn't selling that, wiring job to anybody. And I think when you want to learn how to have a warrant, like install something that's going to have a warranty behind it, you want to know what the manufacturer is saying. Really good example is, back in, if you're wrapping a bumper, for example, and you see the Instagram's probably even more dangerous than YouTube in a sense, right? Because you see all these great pictures from a distance. It's like, I put this all down in one piece and all that stuff. And you say, but if you did some inlays, I think it would look that good for a whole lot longer. But that's maybe, you can't capture that in a reel. It's all just blasted down in one piece. So I think by coming to a class like this, you get real answers by the manufacturers to say, hey, take a breath. When you're going to go into a channel, there is heat and there's pressure. So what did you call it? Heat and mash?
The heat and mash
it's
method,
they're not so far off. I mean, you're going to apply heat and you're going to apply pressure. Now, let me show you where to put both of those to safely get this in place. And sometimes to be impressive in a YouTube, short, or something like that, you've got to sort of show 2 steps. That's all the time you have. And it's all way more complicated than that. So, and it's not just with Arlon. I think with any manufacturer, they have ways of teaching you in a class. And the reason for that is they want to make sure that you're following the methodology that they designed the product around. Like, for example, flight technology is so different than a lot of other adhesive systems. We want you to follow our methodology. You can heat and mash if you want to, like everybody else's. Yeah, you might have some success, but watching just the I don't know how you called it, YouTube certified. Yep. I get that, and you're going to get some ideas, but really you're not getting the people that designed that product, that have built a curriculum around showing you how to get successful with it. That's all missing. And also, I guess there's no authenticity in a sense behind the training. So again, it's good for getting ideas, but listen, I've wired a whole bunch of things, but no one's ever going to call me a certified electrician.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't really say that I'm in any way, I wouldn't give you advice just because I like you. I wouldn't give you electrical advice.
Yeah.
I'll go home and do it all day long, but I wouldn't because, there's someone certified that should really show you that. And I feel like maybe that's where the training programs are a little bit more in depth, and they're necessary.
Yeah, I think training programs are definitely necessary, and it helps. I think all manufacturers want the same thing. We want better wraps out there, because if you walk by a bad one, then you don't want one. If you walk by a good one, then you personally want one. And I'm the guy that usually stands in like, did you guys wrap your own car out there? Yeah, redo it. Like I walk in the shop, redo it, do it right this time. Like it looks bad. Like, and somebody else comes into your shop and sees that, they don't want that. So we all want good wraps. We want better wraps, better quality wraps, better designed wraps, because then more customers want them, more businesses want them, more people want them. Like we all want the same thing. We just want more. We just want to sell more vinyl.
And
right?
You do, yeah. And you know what? There are shortcuts, I'm sure, but really to be good at anything, it's a lot of practice, and it's a lot of work, and it's going out there and getting trained.
Yep.
It isn't just watching a 3-minute short.
Yeah. I think one of the ways I always think the classes are useful, like you were talking about some of the rewarding stuff. I think what's cool, like even when you show somebody especially that's super new, right? And I was telling you can always tell when they hold the vinyl up and then they're trying to squeegee it down.
Right.
And you can always tell like this person is new, right? That's not any dig on you. It's just what you naturally do. When you go to squeegee down, you don't want to stick, so you hold it up. And when you show somebody the first time, like, okay, you could do that, or just grab it and pull it down, and you pull it and they see the whole thing just go flat onto the van. They go, oh, okay. So I think you get that versus when you watch on YouTube, you don't. The other side of that is when you see like Victor, who just did our last round of classes, shout out to him.
Yep.
He was doing the front fender, right? And he shows it and it looks like the easiest thing you've ever seen done, right? He's just like, just a little heat, stretch it, goes on. It's just like glassed on there, perfectly smooth. The problem is if you were to watch that on YouTube and then you walked outside and you're like, I'm going to do it. And you heat it up, you stretch it, and it just looks like a wrinkled, bundled up mess. And you're like, what is going on? And you're just going to think two things. One, you're going to think, I'm never doing this again. Or you're going to think, I'm clearly using the wrong vinyl, and it's probably neither. It's probably just that person's been doing it a very long time, and it's not that simple, right? And in a class, he can show you how simple it is for him to do it, and then he can also show you how you can do it as well, right? You may not get to that level immediately, but I think watching on YouTube and then trying it is probably scaring more people away, or have people thinking that they're doing something wrong when they might not be doing anything wrong. They might just not have quite the knowledge they need to get it done. So
yeah, that's a good point. Yep.
So you guys are working on a lot of different trainings, right? Obviously, you've invested a lot of time and money into ours as well, so we appreciate that. But you guys have your own training programs going on. So if you want to, what kind of is going on with Master of the Wrap? I know it's been going around a little bit now. Yeah,
so Master of the Wrap is a new training program that Arlon launched with WrapStar Pro. And it's Arlon's training curriculum, Arlon's film, of course. And Christian's done a great job leading them. It's led by WrapStar Pro. But we looked at the curriculum of our usual classes. And a lot of times you have a trainer that's going to show you something, and that almost can turn into a little bit of a YouTube moment, in the sense that if you just show someone and then move on to something else, you hope they retained it. Typically they go, oh, that's clever. But if they don't get to do it, and they don't get to do it more than once, you don't get any kind of muscle. I don't want to say muscle memory exactly, because it's not that repetitive. But what we do is drill. So if we're going to show you how to do something, the pre-seam is a good example. We like to show people, hey, when you put panels together, lining them up takes a lot of time, and sometimes you're not perfectly accurate. So what if we pre-seamed, if we put it together first and then applied it? All right, well, there are 4 steps to pre-seaming, roughly. And if you watch someone do it, you kind of get it and go, yep. But if you went home to try to do that, you're probably going to forget a couple of them, or forget what order they went in. So what we do with Master of the Wrap is we say, hey, we're going to show you this thing, and then you're going to do it on a small piece. And you're going to do it 3 times on that small piece. And then you're going to take that piece, and we're going to use that for learning how to do a deep channel, we'll use that piece again. But now let's do a pre-seam on something a little bit bigger. And then the whole group get together and they pre-seam the whole side of the van. So by the time you've done that, you've got the concept in your head after doing it 3-4 times, then you collaboratively do it with a group. You walk out of that class knowing how to pre-seam something. And we take that level of detail in teaching all of the really big questions. Like there are 4 ways to do a deep channel. 4 ways, 4 different ways.
I like to heat and mash.
It sticks. It sticks until tomorrow morning when I have to look at it again.
It'll stay there till I get out of the building.
Yeah,
That's right.
Easily.
It's got a headlight warranty or tail light warranty, right?
Yeah. I mean, we were joking about it, but that is also one of the benefits. Like we were joking about it with one of Victor's classes. They did one of the sides on day 1. It just was a different speed of the class. So they got one of the sides done.
Right.
And I told him when they did it, I said, we have one spot that every time fails when they try and heat and squeeze it up there. The controlled heat is, I think, what you guys call it. I said, there's just one section that fails probably on every single one that we've done so far. And I said, I don't think it's a dig on anyone. I think it's just difficult when you haven't done it before. And so I told them that. They did it on day 1. We came back day 2 and it had popped up. And I think if you did that on your own vehicle or on your customer's vehicle, I think they would be upset. But when you saw it after I said it fails almost every time and they're like, we can do it, push up in there, they come back day 2 and it's pop. You're not going to see that on, if you go home and you wrap your customer's van, you send them home, like, good luck out there. And then it pops up the next day. I think seeing it in a class, you think, okay, I see what you're talking about. And then when we hound on, hey, maybe try cut and drop, maybe try it. You should do cut and drop, cut and drop, cut and drop, cut and drop. And then they see it pop and they go, okay, maybe we should mention cut and drop next time. So I think that's, just an added benefit. But
that's why you saw the van that I drove back here from Louisville. One side was cut and drop, and the other side was popped.
Because it just popped. Just call it what it was.
And I was the same thing. I'm watching it, and I'm watching this guy do it, and by the time you get it down, it's like, okay, well, it's gonna pop. But everybody else, that was one particular person. The other corners were down good, solid. We got here, but like, there's one guy that just went back to the old. And as long heat and mash,
yeah. And as long as you're in a classroom setting, like that's a good spot for that to happen. That's the same thing I said. Like on this one that we're looking at right now, it's literally out. If you're looking at the camera, it's literally right there. We're looking at it. And the van, he like messes up the cut on the front of the hood. It comes just short. And he's like, yeah, we cut it a little short. And I said, it's the best place to do it is right here. Because the next time you go to cut a hood, what are you going to think? I don't want to cut this short like I did on the last one. That's the benefit of training, right? Like we talk about these classes being, as expensive as they are. But the reality is the kits are the same price as a classes. So if you took one, wrapped a whole van and messed it up with nobody there to teach you, it would cost you the same as you coming here and wrapping a van with somebody who's qualified to teach you how to do it.
So when you talk about that miscut, that's one of the biggest things I see in wrappers that are way better than me when it comes to that is Rich is one of them. You can look at that van, you can see the curves, and you can put it over, and you know where your lines are. Me, I'm like picking it up, run to the other side of the van, pick it up, like where I got to cut at, and then I still cut it wrong. They have that visual. I know Chad Parrish was really good at this. He has that visual before he puts it down of what the van looks like underneath, and would just cut it right, and just like, and I'm like.
Around tires and everything.
How did you know where to cut that thing? He's like, oh, I just put it down here. I'm like, for me, I was like, I cut it. It's 4 inches short. Like it wasn't even remotely close.
Right.
But I think training gives you like almost like a shortcut to that, right? Like if you're learning how to cut is literally repetition. Like you're never going to be good at it right when you start, but you can definitely get a lot further if you have someone be like, okay, I just watched you do it. This isn't a dig on you. This is how you did it wrong, though. Let me show you. And then show them again, a perfectly straight cut. And versus you doing it at home wrong 47 times in a row, which is, we see that in the class too sometimes, right? Where it's just repetition. They keep doing it wrong. And then you have to be like, hey, you could keep doing it. You'll eventually get there. But let's maybe speed it up. Here's how you can do it. You're never going to get that if you're doing YouTube certified.
That's also why I can't be a trainer, because I can't you did okay. I told you 3 times. Do it right this time. Like how many times do I have to tell you? Like I wouldn't be
Yeah, a little more patience than you have is involved in that.
Yeah, I don't even think I can be patient after time 2, and you guys are patient after 4 or 5, and like,
yeah, I mean, it's
why did I do it wrong? Because you suck. Would be like my answer, and like, I don't think that's an appropriate response in a rap class. So like, that's why I don't teach them. That's why I don't even walk out there.
Yeah,
so I just sit here and laugh and smile and like, oh, okay.
But I think, from your side, I'm sure there's just some patience involved. That's like, I think you have to let them do it wrong sometimes, because the best way to learn is to do it wrong, right? Like maybe when we're finishing up the van, like you did earlier in the back, we're like step in and be like, whoa, okay, hold on a second, because this is going to be on here a while. So let's like make sure we get this part right. Yeah. But when they're practicing, I think it's perfectly good. Like I'm going to watch you fail 3 or 4 times before I come in and say, hey, here's what I would do. And then they'll be like, oh, okay, that makes sense. But if you start with that, right, if you, as soon as they start, you cut them off and you try and get them, they're not going to remember when they did it wrong, why they did it wrong. So that's probably pretty important. But so besides Master the Rap, like I know we talked yesterday, there's a few other ideas that you guys have for training. So what are things you guys thinking about for the future?
So Master the Rap right now is commercial van. So it's a bunch, we drill a lot on the different ways to put channels down, the pre-seam thing, trimming, cutting, that's super important. And then everyone wraps the van at the end. And we're working on a new Master the Rap, and we don't quite have the name for it. Commercial van is what we call the first one. This is more like, structural and architectural. And we have a really neat take on it, I think. We're going to be doing these only in Chicago and at Fatty's place. And he's built bulkheads out of the walls, so they are acting like ceilings. And we're doing walls, ceilings, and windows. And the difference here is most of these training classes that you go to, you get a graphic this big. When have you ever done a wall graphic that big, Or maybe they're a little bigger, but we're literally doing 12-foot drops. And you got to get 2 of them side by side. By the end of the class, you've got to be able to do that on scaffolding, OSHA approved, all that stuff. And we're working on that side of it as well. But then on
That's how we do everything here too, OSHA approved.
Everything. By the book.
I caught that. There were a few times I was pretty sure it must be OSHA approved. So we are looking into that stuff. But like window mullions as well. Like, how do you get a graphic to go across all 3? And it can also be on the window mullion or not. And we're going to drill you on that. And you're going to be working with real size graphics, floor graphics. It's easy enough to take a patch this big and get it to stick to a floor and say you understand. But if you haven't ever wheeled out 12 feet and then another one beside it of really high-tack floor graphic materials and heated it down properly and in a proficient way, then really you are absolutely learning on the job. So it's a brand new type of structural or architectural type of training that Master the Rap is going to bring out. And we're going to do our pilot. We're hoping now, I guess we're on the record now, but we're hoping to do the pilot in August in Chicago and see how that goes. And when we do a pilot, we're going to get some folks that really know what they're doing to come and to critique us. And then we can, hone it in. So certainly, but all throughout next year, we'll be doing that. So that's one thing. And actually the thing I'm the most excited about is, again, it's a novel idea. And we're always trying to bring training, new ways to train. All of us at Arlon, the TSG, the Tech Solutions Group, we have our own studio. So I have one up in Canada, and Louis has one in Placentia. Mervyn has one in Dallas. And we have, doors and rivet panels and so on mounted on the walls. And you can literally, as soon as it'll be on Rapid Right. So it's not launched yet. We're hoping for mid-June. But you'll be able to go on our calendar and say, hey, I want a half an hour. And I just want to know about deep channels. Well, that's fine. So we know, because you've signed it up and you said, here, deep channels. And by the way, we want to work with SLX Plus, or it's going to be brick and we want to work with 8200. You tell us the substrate, you tell us the type of film within reason. Don't go pulling something, crazy on us, but within reason. And we will put together a little training for you ahead of time. You jump on a Zoom call, and on your phone, if that's how you're following us, you literally have a remote control for our camera. And our camera, it moves around. It's a PTZ camera, so it zooms in and out. In fact, you can zoom in closer with that camera than if you were in person watching, unless you got really into our personal space. So you can zoom right in and see everything and then ask questions. So you get to direct the training. Yeah, I saw how you did there. Can you please do that one more time? And then hopefully on your end, since you asked, you have a van or you have a brick wall or whatever it is you're asking us about. Or if you want to just sit down and chat for half an hour, Tyler, you can always just give me a call.
Just start booking them up.
Start booking.
Hey, this is really, really popular. This is going well.
Yeah, you're telling David Duncan. Yeah, my schedule's just been booked for weeks.
Yeah.
It looks like just one person books it. Just me and Ritchie hanging out for 3 hours every Monday.
Having coffee and just talking about nothing. But yeah, so, but what I mean by that is literally just if you have a question about film, it doesn't have to be show me something. We'll just one-on-one sit down and talk about it. And so each studio will have 3 hours in the morning of a day. So we'll have 9 hours a week available. And so my studio will be Monday mornings, 3 to 9 Eastern time, and then so on, one on Wednesday and one on Friday. So you can pick the time that works best for you and just come and ask us anything. And if we can show you, we'll show you. And by the way, if it bleeds over and there's nobody next to you, it doesn't matter. We'll take 45 minutes or whatever. We've got 3 hours. So that's another brand new, and we're trying to be innovative because look, if we come into your shop, you've been in sales.
Yep.
You're coming in, there's the whole, how are you doing? There's the whole getting settled. And then there's okay, we're going to show you something and then leave. And you're in there for an hour, hour and a half, which is great. That's forming for salespeople. That's super important. But if you really wanted to call the TSG to come out and help you, you know that you just blew a morning. Yep. We're going to blow one of your mornings. Well, this is literally a half an hour. We're going to get in and out, and then you can come back next week if you didn't quite get it after you've tried it. So it's an innovative way of training, I think, on the fly and really being able to answer more questions. Reach out to more people.
It's just you guys, it seems like, looking at where the market is and just realizing I don't think anyone has time for these trainings that we have been doing, or a lot of people don't, especially the bigger shops. Because I know you guys have been doing the product showcases. Those seem like a hit. So people love that aspect that you're talking about, where people come in. Some people love that, right? They want someone to come in. They want to see it in person. They want to feel it and touch it.
And we're there for that.
And you have that as well.
Oh,
yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
So they have the product showcases. So if you do want someone to come out, Chuck would volunteer. He goes anywhere. That's what he told me.
Chuck DeCello, shout out to you, my friend. Without a doubt, let's get some showcases going. So let's talk. We should probably say what a showcase is.
He said he wants to do every showcase possible. So if you're listening to this, we want to schedule 100 of them, please.
I'd love it.
But so if you want that, they have it. If you want the virtual, they have it. And if you want to do in-depth Master the Wrap or ours work as well, and you can come get your hands on the material and see it. So
absolutely.
With that in mind, in this class we were talking about the new stuff that you guys have coming out. So do you want to take a second and talk about that?
Yeah, so Vital, it's a new product line that we've just launched, and it's our non-PVC product line. So Vital isn't the name of an exact product. It is the line. And the first products in the line are V9700 and V3370. And so they're not PVC, they're polyurethane. And so we have a laminate V3370. And I mean, to tell you the most exciting part about it, I guess, is 12 years, right? So when you talk about a vehicle wrap, normally you say to someone, hey, even in Michigan, Zone 1, we're going to be able to wrap this whole thing, and we're working with PVC, and you have a 7-year warranty maybe. And then on the hood, though, well, now we're talking maybe 3. But when we're working with V3370, it's 6 years. So 12 years on the verticals and 6 years on the horizontal. So you can wrap the whole thing and forget about it. So that's one of the easiest benefits to find. But then when you look at the gloss level, and we were looking at that at ISA when we wrapped a vehicle there of course, with 3370 on it. And we left an area that wasn't wrapped. And you couldn't tell the difference in the gloss level between the paint and the film. And we were pointing that out to people. Hey, look at that. Can you imagine? And then the best part of the gloss is it is for 12 years. The gloss stays for 12 years or 6 years on the horizontals. And then on top of that, it's scratch resistant. So it's polyurethane. So paint protection, that is what polyurethane, that's what it's made from, most of it. It's a polyurethane because it is scratch resistant. So you have a scratch resistant laminate. And with our version, and I want to also mention that it's cast film. So a lot of polyurethane films are not cast. They're extruded. They have a lot more inherent tension in them. So with our film, it's cast. And if you take just isopropyl alcohol, if you do get some abrasions, we were playing around with this morning, and I love it because you hear everyone go, what? What did I just see? And I have a squeegee, and to get it to scratch, you have to work really hard.
Yeah.
Right?
You have to
I had to
literally ding up your squeegee.
Yeah, I was nicking a Teflon squeegee to put scratches in this thing. And when we get them, and I was going in circles like you would get from a car wash, for example, and then you just take isopropyl. You guys had 70-30. Back in my studio, I have 50-50. And so it doesn't have to be so strong and caustic. And just a quick wipe, and it's completely gloss refreshed. And you can do that 5 years from now. You can do that 4 years from now and get that perfect gloss back. So all of that said, that's all great. It is a more sustainable product, okay? So yes, of course, I'm not going to greenwash this today. I'm not going to sit here and tell you how this, because of our film, we're going to breathe better in, 2055. Nothing like that. But yes, it is a sustainable. So if you have a narrative in your company as a sign shop, and you know that their customer has a narrative toward that, this will help you there. But also working with the film. And when you work with polyurethane, it is so different. PVC, you have to add tension to go around a convex curve. So you have to add heat, and then you have to add tension and hope that you've put the right amount in so that there's not too much in there. With V9700, when you put the V3370 with it, when you go around a convex curve, you literally just drape it and then just add a reasonable amount of heat, like a decent amount of heat, and it just takes the shape. And now you've taken all the tension out of the film. It's just going to sit in exactly that shape. It doesn't have a memory of being flat. This is different than PVC. PVC always has a memory, no matter what you do to it. You can try to burn it out of it. Unless you damage it, it's always going to remember and want to shrink back. So there are some really nice application sides to this film as well. It's not just how great it looks after all that time, or the kind of fun narrative that it has for the green
So
space.
it looks great, it's green, and it performs better.
See,
Well, how hard is it?
well,
That ain't even a decision.
I feel like I took 6 minutes to say what you just said.
I'm a guy that just sums it up. You could have, you could have just said
I could
it.
have just said that.
Well, we've been
Lesson
harping,
learned.
Yeah. We've been harping on our suppliers for, 3 years now about like you were talking about, greenwashing, where they'll just bring us a new product, and it's like, yes, this is the green alternative to this product line. Okay, what else? That's it. Also, it's more expensive. That's every time. That's how that speech goes. Every single time we've had it for the last forever, as long as I know.
Yeah.
And Arlon is only, I think, the second time we've had a conversation where it's, hey, we have a green option, and that's what I was saying. That's all you needed was, and we have a new green alternative, and it can do this, and it's a little better, and the warranty is better. Like, as long as you have both of those, I think it's, if we were in, California, or we're in New York, where they have a lot of these initiatives that are going against PVC, I think that's a different conversation, right?
Yep.
But here in the Midwest, not to say we don't care about the environment.
We do.
But for the most part,
we haven't
not
regulated
the nicest.
it
Yeah.
Yes.
We're not the nicest about it here, and we don't have regulations against it. So if it's more expensive, we're just going to go with the cheaper option, which has always been PVC. So having one still not a lot more expensive, but a little more expensive, but all the added benefit of warranty. When you're talking about 6 year, our vans don't even make it 6 years.
Right.
So you're talking life of the vehicle, you're going to have warranty on the wrap. So anyone that's doing fleet that gets any amount of miles on their vehicle, they're not making it 6 years. Like the vehicles aren't made to go that long now. So
well, and you know what? Even if they are, it's life of ownership.
Yeah.
Certainly.
Yeah.
Absolutely life of ownership.
Well, ours would be nice. We wash our vans almost daily here.
Wow. Okay.
So our vehicle stuff they get washed almost every single day. So you rub it, and we don't have the nicest scrub brushes because the guy that came before went down a gravel road. That gravel's still in that brush, and then we wash them again. So we scratch a lot. So scratch resistant for us is a benefit, because we do scratch if you look at our vans, we scratch our graphics when we wash them, but I refuse to send out crappy looking vans like some of our friends do.
So, it's interesting. You talk about the and, right? And so here's an and for you. If you love SLX Plus, and if it is a price sensitive thing, you can take SLX Plus and put V3370 on top of it. week. Absolutely. And in fact, we encourage that because maybe you do live in the Midwest and you don't have any green initiatives at all. So you look at this and say, why would I spend extra money? Well, I'll tell you why. All of that stuff we just said, the extended life, all that. And if you just buy the laminate and SLX Plus, now you're talking a very small increase in price, but for all of this extra upside. So we're always trying to be innovative and saying, okay, you know what? Let's get people used to just forgetting about the calendar when it comes to a wrap. Let's get people forgetting about the surface. Is it the hood? Is it the side? What is it? Let's get people just used to our wraps are just 6 years. They're absolutely, owners, the life of owner for sure. These wraps are going to last. And then when the regulations come along, I'm already used to using this product. So that's the angle that we're taking with it. And it's working really well. Almost everyone that hears about it says, wait a minute, why? Great question. Why would we be buying a PVC laminate that we know probably will start to fail on the hood of a vehicle in Zone 1. And by the way, Zone 4, so this is literally Sahara Desert, the worst on the planet. We give you 4 years on the horizontals with this laminate. That's how much we trust it. So even in the desert, you get a better warranty with it than you do a PVC laminate in Zone 1 right here in Michigan. So it is the future. There's no doubt about it. And we're bringing it to you at a reasonable price, so you can mix it with PVC even and have an excellent product.
It's definitely vital that you use it.
There you go. Perfectly placed. Yes, exactly. It's vital to have this in your lineup. Man alive.
Oh, we got him. You can clip that one. You can use it. And use it on all your social media.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah,
You're welcome.
Yeah.
That's free. That's free.
Thank you, Mike.
You can use my sum up and those 2 lines back to back.
Might be why we used the word in the first place.
Yeah, that's great. So I guess last question before we wrap this up is we're talking about kind of all the stuff you guys do, the trainings, the products that you have, the new stuff that you just came out with. What do you think, if you had to summarize it, like what separates Arlon from the competitors that are out there in the market?
I think whether you look at our leadership team, you look at our sales team, the trainers, the folks in manufacturing, like everyone strives to be the partner of choice. So however you approach Arlon, we have a set of core values that we take very seriously, and it's about the people. And we want to make sure that when you think about Arlon, you think, oh yeah. And I think people do. When we think about the training that we're going to bring, the product lines, even talking about Vital, these products are just for vehicles. We're very purpose driven. So if we're going to make a film, it's for a purpose. It's for that thing. So yeah, partner of choice. I think that's the best way to sum us up.
It's not because of Chuck. I like A binder, Chuck. I'm going to put that out there for Chuck.
Chuck's a great guy.
Chuck's
a great guy.
We love Chuck.
We've been joking. Like I literally, we're going on the second longest break that I've seen Chuck literally since ISA.
Is that 2 days?
Yeah, really. 6 days is the record currently. So
Chuck works hard.
Yes.
We've been super appreciative of him. I mean, with all the classes, and we besides wrap classes, we just did a bunch of cabinet classes as well with you guys too.
That's right.
So he was a big help with that.
Absolutely.
He has a wealth of knowledge. So like I said, if you want a product showcase, you're listening. Chuck said he'll do it. So
Chuck will be there.
He wants all of them. So
he really does.
Yeah.
But Ritchie, we really appreciate you, all the help with
it's been a lot of fun.
Trainings, coming on the podcast. We appreciate it.
For sure. It's been years, right? We've been working together.
Yeah, long time.
Years. So,
yeah. I was here the first time you did it, so
you were.
I was here.
So it's about time we sat down and had a good conversation like this.
Yep.
Yeah, it's awesome. So hopefully you guys got some appreciation for this podcast. It obviously went a little long. We're looking at the time. Rick wasn't here to pause us. So
yeah, we didn't have no producer here today, so
no water got spilled on the floor during the making of this podcast, though. So
I was looking forward to that.
I guess a benefit, right?
Hopefully it's recorded.
Yeah, hopefully. If you guys see this, it worked. If you don't, it never worked in the first place. So, but seriously, thanks for coming on. We appreciate it. Hopefully you guys got some enjoyment out of this. And thanks. We'll see you guys in the next episode.
All right, thank you.
Cheers.